Hello, and welcome back to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater, and MJ, where each week we go back and look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. This week we are checking out Netflix 41st film, the 2017 action-adventure film Okja. It's directed by Bong Joon-ho, and it stars an ensemble cast including Tilda Swinton, Paul Dano, Seo-hyun, and Hee-bong. Hello.
Hey mates.
Hey mates.
I bloody love our intro music. It's so good.
It's a good tune, isn't it? It's a really good tune.
I should get it as my ringtone.
Yeah.
It just sounds, it's so refreshing.
It is.
So we like to kick off our show with a section we called Fast Flicks, where we do our own little summaries of what we thought of the film. MJ, go for it.
Okay. A young girl goes on an adventure to rescue her best friend, a lab-born super pig, and discovers the harsh realities of the world in the process.
Nice and fast.
It was so hard. This movie was too big to fast flicks it. So there you go.
That was a good one.
Heater.
So, a young girl tries to save her super pig after it is taken by an evil corporation with the help of animal activist groups and their charismatic leader.
Good. Different take. Good. I've gone, a worldwide competition to grow the biggest pig leads to a young girl needing to stand her ground and fight for her pig, which she loves dearly.
That's good. I think that's the best one. So after watching this film, someone asked me about it. And like, what's it about? And I was like, gosh,
How long have you got?
And that's the thing, I'm like, I haven't written my fast flicks. And normally that's what I love about our fast flicks, is it really is that perfect elevator pitch for a film. But even when I was writing this, I'm like, I can't do it justice. I'm just going to get something out there. But I liked yours, Jesse. That was good.
Thank you. And as usual, we're going to spoil this film straight up. So if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it first, then listen to us later, I guess.
A lot of people have watched this one, though.
Yeah,
massively.
A lot.
Massively.
Especially compared to all the other films we've done.
We can probably look at that now. Like, if you look at like sort of the consensus online, the audience on IMDb, it's had nearly 10,100 ratings.
On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience.
Sorry, Rotten Tomatoes audience, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Sometimes we don't even have enough.
Sorry, Rotten Tomatoes audience. It's on 81% on 10,100 ratings almost. And then IMDb had, 73,500?
17,500.
Awesome.
Even Letterboxd had over 67,000.
They're just big.
It's which is so, especially for Letterboxd as well. That's so much.
Actually, we're probably like people who are watching like the Avengers and stuff. Like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
But in context of Netflix original
just
films.
for a Netflix original film, yeah.
Context to everything else that we've looked at in 40 whatever episodes.
Even the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, there was 216 reviews, which sometimes we're doing movies where there's like 5, 6.
So sometimes we do user ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and you're like, it's a 40%, but there's only 8 people that have rated it.
So Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 87% from the critics and 81% from the audience, so pretty high.
It's got to be almost as big as we've had, to be honest.
IMDb was 7.3 and Letterboxd is 3.7, so they're kind of just under that. But yeah, all around that really good mark.
So in answer to the question you didn't ask, it's very positive. Consensus.
Very positive.
Very positive. So what else do we learn about this film? There's a few things I think we can probably chat about. Heater, what have you got?
So it premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, and when it opened, it had the Netflix title card, and the audience, they booed it.
They sure did.
Strange.
It's based on the French background with streaming content, it's not surprising, I guess, because they have these really strict rules on demand release from theatrical release. So I think it's like 36 months.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a really long, that's 3 years.
Yeah.
So you can't have something on a streaming service unless it's been out of cinemas for 3 years.
Yeah.
I think since then, even Cannes have said we're not going to show any more streaming films at the Cannes.
Well, so this wasn't eligible to win awards at Cannes, was it?
No, it was barred from receiving any awards because of it being a streaming film.
We're still nominated for awards, but they were never going to.
So to your point, Heater, then I guess there's no point showing. Why would you even show them if you're not even going to consider them?
And then the other thing that sort of set the audience off there was that they showed the first 10 minutes of the film in the wrong ratio.
And so then they started again, and the Netflix card came up again, and they got even more boos as well.
Whose fault's that? That's got to be. That feels like a sabotage.
It's a bit like if Netflix know that sort of audience are not going to like it, why go for it? And at the same time, if can't think the same thing, why are you letting them show it?
I know. Yeah.
But how do you show it in the wrong ratio? Like, sure, you're all professionals there. That just shouldn't happen.
Well, that's probably what happens when you're streaming, or maybe they streamed it.
maybe.
Starts buffering for a bit.
What else?
So it did have a cinema release in South Korea. So there was several independent theaters that it screened in South Korea, and it earned $2.1 million US from just over 300,000 tickets sold.
Yeah.
From what I can gather, South Korea has similar rules in regards to theatrical release to streaming.
Okay.
So the fact that it was 60 cinemas was because they were all independent cinemas who didn't actually abide by those rules.
Yeah.
So they basically just said, "Yep, no worries, come on in."
And before it hit Netflix, it did a couple of festivals as well, New York, Sydney, Edinburgh, and then went on Netflix. So they tried to get this one out a bit before it actually hit the surface.
Okay. For good reason as well.
I thought it was fun. Like, so Okja, to create the character, they used a combination of a pig, a manatee. Is it a manatee?
Manatee.
Manatee, the sea thing, and a dog.
Yeah, I can see all that. I mean, the obvious one is the manatee. Like, you look at that and you go, it looks like
the face. I think they did on the manatee, and you're like,
the size.
Yeah.
And the director had like a life-sized mock-up of Okja so that the performers, could maneuver around it while shooting, which I thought was going a little bit back to that old school sort of technology where you actually use puppets.
Yeah, it would have helped, definitely. Because I think part of the appeal of the creature is its sheer size.
Yeah.
And
It's the super pig.
difficult to do that if you're just acting with effects.
Yeah.
And the director spent 6 months actually working with the designer to get the right look of the character too, which is a long time, really.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about that character later on because there's so many fascinating things about it and why I think it worked so well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you see that animal liberation front throughout that are trying to support this cause of animal rights, and they're actually a real organisation.
Yeah, they're real.
Which I thought was cool.
Which was good, yeah.
Alf.
Correct.
What I have. So it took about a month to film and had a budget of $50 million.
Okay. Month to film surprises me. That's a good effort.
Yeah, that's pretty quick, I would have thought. They filmed in Seoul, in Vancouver, and New York.
Yep.
All over about a 4-week period,
Makes
which
sense.
seems like a pretty good effort.
And the director became vegan while filming this.
Did he really?
Yeah, read in an
Was
interview.
he already a vegetarian and then went vegan? Or
I don't know. All I saw was there's someone did an interview with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I became vegan while making this."
It's interesting, and this will be an interesting discussion point later on. I'd love to get your feed on this, but I honestly don't think that this was necessarily a really pro-vegan movie. I think it looks like it is, but I think there's elements to it that aren't necessarily saying this is what we should all be doing. Don't eat meat. So, but we can get into that later.
Good. I'm looking forward to that bit later on.
Good discussion.
Well, when I watched this film, did you not want to eat meat afterwards?
Oh, I did.
I did.
I absolutely did.
This movie connected with me, but I still didn't.
Like when they're doing it, the tastings, I'm like, yeah, that looks good.
So I didn't quite.
I want some of that.
Especially the fact that he's Korean and like Korean are like the biggest meat eating country in the world. They love their barbecue.
It was nominated for heaps of awards. There were so many I just didn't even bother writing them all down.
13 nominations it got for 7 wins.
I had 20 nominations for 7 wins.
Well, there you go.
Oh, which is probably the same. 20 nominations, 7 wins, 13. Yeah. We're on the same page.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's
so
still
your
big.
7 wins meant
Include the
13 nominations didn't win.
Exactly, yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, so 7 wins and then 13 other nominations. Yeah,
no, we're on the same page. Good. The other thing that I picked, there's quite a bit of product placement in this one.
Yeah, there is.
There was a lot of Apple products.
It's 50 million, Jesse.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Well, they needed some money to help. There's a Coke vending machine in the Mirando offices, and there was this, in the subway scene, there's Daiso, it stops on the logo, and Starbucks in the parade.
Was there one point that Joon-ho had like a laptop and like really held up that Apple
logo
symbol for a long time, like a lot longer than was needed?
Oh, like that iPad thing that he had.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So the first draft of this was written purely in Korean because the director is Korean but speaks English. But he got it translated into English via his screenwriting partner, John Ronson, who basically rewrote all the English dialogue and sort of polished it up and often at times created new lines. So it's interesting. Bong Joon-ho obviously knew that this was going to be probably 75% in English because of the story, the way it was being told, and but still went to his roots, wrote it in Korean, then got it changed. And he said he actually used inspiration from Babe 2, Pig in the City. That's probably the biggest film that he drew inspiration from.
Do we classify this as a foreign film then?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of that, but now that you're saying that, like how much production went into pre-production into telling like a Korean, and it's a Korean story.
It's a Korean director that's shot largely in Korea with a Korean actress as one of the stars. Like I think it's definitely a foreign language film, or it's a Korean film.
Yeah, happy with that.
Everything Baz Luhrmann directs is basically an Australian film, isn't it?
Including The Great Gatsby.
Joel Edgerton and Elizabeth Debicki are in that.
And Leo. Anything else, or do you want to look at our early thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's all I had in terms of the film history.
The only other one I had was a casting dropout. So the character of Frank Dawson, kind of the associate of Miranda Corporation, who was Giancarlo Esposito, who most people know as Gus from Breaking Bad. So that was originally going to be Bill Nye was going to play that.
What was his name? What was the character's name? Frank Howard.
Frank Dawson.
Oh, Frank Dawson.
Frank Dawson.
There you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
he
Bill
didn't look
Nye
like Frank Dawson.
No, exactly. Yeah, well, maybe because Bill Nye was originally supposed to do it.
How different is that?
That's so different.
I don't think the character wasn't big enough for it to matter.
Sure, yeah, I think it still would have worked. But
it would have worked fine.
But just a little. Good. I found.
All right, what are our early thoughts before we get into it a bit further, MJ? What do you think?
I adored this movie. I planned to rewatch it like hours after I saw it. But other commitments got in the way. But I'm already trying to look at my schedule to figure out when I can fit in a second viewing. Since I watched it, I haven't stopped thinking about it. I haven't connected with a film on an emotional or visceral level like this in a very long time. Basically, I just fell hard and fast for the relationship between Mija and Okja. I was gone. So
good.
I adored this film. I loved it.
All right, so we're going to have some positive things from the side of the room. Peter?
Look, I like this movie. I didn't like it as much as MJ and as the critics did. I was very much into the first half of the movie. Second half, I didn't think was as strong. So, but look, it was still a pretty good movie. I still liked it, just not as much as I think the critics and you guys did.
You guys? What did Jesse think?
Yeah, how do you know what I'm going to think?
Because you'd already logged it on Letterboxd, Jesse, and I think you've seen this, 5 times?
True, I have logged this on Letterboxd, and I have taught this film, like I've watched it in my own time.
You told me this, and I've actually forgotten.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that.
I've taught this film at school multiple times, and I love this film. But when I taught it at school, we looked at it more from a production side of things. So, the money that Netflix or a streaming service put into the film and how it was made, those types of things. So to me, this was great looking at it again for the way we look at it in the podcasting sense. Like I was watching it as a totally new film almost, yeah. So yeah, I'm on it, MJ.
But you still loved it?
I still love this film, yeah. I think it's
fair
great
enough.
film.
Good, so I'm going to like it when I watch it again.
I think so. I pick up on things every time I watch it that you don't see.
How many times do you think you've watched this film?
6 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't
So
believe
I've watched it
jealous.
a few times. Yeah.
So
It's a long film to watch too, though.
Not really. It didn't feel that long.
No, it doesn't feel long, but it is a long film.
Do you, Heater, do you cry in movies?
No.
Have you ever cried in a movie?
I probably have. I'm not going to say no, but I couldn't recall a time
so
I have.
to the point.
So yeah, there's times where I'm really sad and I might get some tears in my eyes maybe, but no, I'm not much of a crier.
Are you a crier, Jesse?
Depends how tired I am.
Okay.
If I'm really
Got no energy
exhausted
to
and
fight it,
tired,
yeah.
I literally am a mess.
Yeah, okay. I'm a crier.
So did you cry in this film?
I did, like...
At what point? Or a few times?
5 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember, that episode of Friends when Chandler never cries and then he starts crying and then he just cries at everything?
Yeah.
This just opened me up.
Oh, wow, okay.
Completely opened me up.
Wow. Good.
Like, I mean, this is... All right, let's lead into the characters of the film. And the main character... Well, not the main character. One character I want to talk about is Okja.
Yep.
But at the very start of this film that they're setting these super pigs up as food. Like So when you are introduced to Okja as a fully grown super pig, you know her fate, right? You know where it's going to end up. And you kind of know where this movie's going to go.
Yep.
And the fact that first scene with the two of them just completely drew me in and I was obsessed with their relationship. I was just already just on edge, like, no, I know where it's going and I couldn't, my little heart couldn't handle it for the rest of the time. So I'll get to the crying stuff later. But what I loved about Okja is not often, and I'm trying to think of this from other films, that we are introduced to a brand new species and have them just exist completely normally within the world that we live in. So that was my immediate fascination with it. Like we get like alien invasion movies, or there's weird creatures in like, Avatar in a different world, but this is just this brand new creature that we've never seen. We have no reason to believe it's real, but it just exists in our world, and that's quite a fascinating concept. That I think that's what drew me in initially, just looking at this creature and thinking, wow, I've never seen anything like this, but I'm in. I don't know what you guys think about that, if that crossed your mind.
I think that, and obviously from what we said before, the time and effort put into making this character one that you could believe, like there was at no stage that I was thinking this is a CGI character.
That's true. Yeah.
Which I think if they hadn't spent that time on that, and the character like Okja looked a little off or not quite realistic, or you couldn't imagine the things that Okja was doing, then maybe it wouldn't have been as impactful.
Yeah, I agree.
Looked really good. Looked really good. It was fantastic.
So what made me care so much about Okja is how cerebral she is. And like for any animal lover, and I've got dogs, so I've got a bit of a soft spot for animals in that sense, but you tend to like love and care for animals in films because there's this like helplessness to them in the world around them, and you just want to help them. For Okja, she half like falls into that category because she doesn't necessarily know what's going on and what she can do to save herself. But she's smart enough, and she knows that there's something wrong, and she understands and can sympathize and care and love, because you learn that like straight away. So this whole time, like I'm not thinking about this, say like a lion or a bear that is in trouble, but it doesn't really know. But this they show this cerebral level to this species that reminded me a lot actually of E.T. in that sense, that like the relationship between Mija and Okja was a lot like Elliot and E.T., that it's this foreign thing that doesn't quite know what's going on, but that it feels and it loves and it cares.
So what was the first moment that you had this feeling that Okja knew what was going on?
When she's hanging off the cliff.
Yeah,
falls off the cliff?
Okay, that's what I was going to say. The camera work there does it perfectly, because it's like you're Okja and you're looking at Okja's sussing out what she should do, and it happens. Yeah,
she sees that branch, but she's stressing. She's genuinely stressing.
Like,
she's
like struggling, like to stay up on the actual thing and to grab the rope, like to stamp on that rope to hold it.
But I mean, even to the point where she actually understands everything that Mija's saying to her.
Yeah,
and it's almost like the time that Okja takes, it's almost like a self-sacrifice. Like it's like, I need to
100%. Exactly. Yeah. Like she sees that branch, she goes, yeah, I can save her by doing this, and I'm going to fall, and
So the other point, and this I had to look into this because, as you can understand, I connected very emotionally.
You did. Sounds like.
And so I'm like, why do we care so much about something that's cute, right? And this is in life as well. When you see something cute, you're like, oh, that's cute, and it's a nice feeling. So I think I googled like the emotional response to something that's cute, and because there's got to be something more to it. And I think this is almost like a cheat from Bong Joon-ho, because he's just like, I'm going to make them connect the hell with this thing because it's super cute. So when you encounter something cute, it ignites fast brain activity in regions such as the orbitofrontal cortex. This is not important, but which are linked to emotion and pleasure. It also attracts our attention in a biased way. So babies have privileged access to entering conscious awareness in our brains because you're so used to seeing something cute, seeing that it emits that feeling, but then you want to sort of help it and save it because you know that they sort of need that. So I honestly think that he's accessed this little cheat code that he's going to connect emotionally with the character because he's going to overload it with cute. And to me, it was so cute and it was just so endearing.
And it's a totally different
for you then. Yeah, like it absolutely works.
That's why I had to look into this. I'm like, why am I feeling this way? It's not even real.
You got me in.
But that's 100% right, because if they had have made like an ugly creature, that connection's not there.
Exactly right. And that he knows exactly what he's doing. And she was cheeky, and the effects were so impressive that
the effects were very impressive.
Just a fascinating character, and it is a character, or she is a character. So I've spoken a little bit about Okja, so I don't know.
The film's called Okja, and I didn't even have it down as a character, and I feel stupid for not even contemplating it.
I whether it's a character
to make
or
you feel less stupid, I didn't either.
Yeah, but it's like I just feel like
obviously
it's the film.
It wasn't listed on IMDb in the character. So I'm like, well, these are all the actors. I'm like, hey, where was Okja?
So did you guys Google what Okja means?
Nah, I didn't.
Not fills in.
It's not that exciting, but which is kind of cool. It's a name. It's a female name that's like a oldish kind of name that Bong Joon-ho said it's similar to like a Margaret in English. So
there you go.
Imagine if this was that.
So just named as a normal,
Just
normal
Margaret.
average name.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, good.
Who wants to talk about Mija?
Oh, yeah. So major to me is innocence. Innocence on the screen.
Yeah.
However, stubborn innocence. And like you spoke about, the relationship was awesome between her and Okja. And I think that she had her mindset on one thing and there was no change in that mind whatsoever. So to me, innocence, but very stubborn.
I think it's a real good summary.
I kind of felt like she was in the driver's seat and she was driving me. I felt like Mija was us as an audience, but we kind of got the chance to peek behind the curtain and we knew what was going on, whereas she didn't. So whilst she was trying to save Okja, we knew where Okja was going. We knew what was actually happening to her. So I kind of felt like this need to almost protect her. So I wanted her to keep pushing, keep pushing. We need you to help Okja. But then I was like, but be careful because it's not a nice
dangerous.
world out there.
It's dangerous. Yeah.
I also think that it helped. Like there was not an adult character that didn't lie to her or deceive her in any way in the whole film.
Yeah, in a blunt way, you're right.
Every adult character in some way let her down. So I think that also adds to it. Like you're the adult sitting there going, "Oh, someone needs to help her.
Yeah,
Someone's
Someone's got to look out for her." And
And I wanted that to be.
I thought she was a great character.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was really good and really easy to like
sympathize with.
Yes, it's sympathize with the guest, and like, to want to get her friend back. It was like, yes, like at no point am I even considering like, I hope she doesn't get her back. It's like, no, she has to get her back the whole way through.
And this is the start of my point about not being a blunt advocate or a blunt message about not eating meat. Is that Mija, who's the one character that we do sympathise with and that we do want to be with, and we do act as if she is us, but she still eats meat. This, I don't think, hampers her ability to eat meat. She gets back to the village at the end and there's still chickens around. She's still eating. Like, that's why, and it gets more to the other characters as well, why this isn't necessarily about that. But I think, it could have been really blunt and easy if she's like, I'm never eating meat again. And go, okay, well, you're throwing it in our face now.
We'll probably talk about it more in the themes later, but I think that there were so many other little things that they didn't want you to just focus on the one thing. It's like, this is a message, but we have so many other messages.
Yeah, what are different things going on?
Yeah.
What character do you guys want to talk about next?
I'm happy to talk about Johnny Wilcox.
My man.
Jesse's boy Jake Gyllenhaal, because I couldn't stand him. He was so over the top, and like massive accomplishments to Jake Gyllenhaal. I thought he bought into that character. Like obviously he wanted to be over the top, and I thought he did a great job. Like he really committed to him and was like all work, but just every time he's on screen and just I just found him so over the top.
So why was that a good performance by Jake Gyllenhaal then?
Well, because I think like that's what he was supposed to do, and he like fully committed to being like this over the top nutcase kind of thing. But I just didn't like watching his character. He just really annoyed me with that. He was just so loud and out there. Just it annoyed me watching him on screen.
What do you think, mate?
Funny, like we had this exercise at work today where we were going around and so those ones where you're sort of getting to know people and you have like 10 questions and you got to try and match up the same answers. And one of the answers was like, who do you look up to? And mine was Jake Gyllenhaal.
I know that you love him. I know that and I do too. Like I've seen plenty of movies that I love Jake Gyllenhaal in, and as I said, I don't think his acting was bad. It was just his character and wasn't something that I liked.
And I think. So they set it up. The first time you see him, he comes up on the mountain and Mija says to him something about like, can I have your autograph or whatever? And he makes some comment about like, I'm still popular here or something. So they tried to make you feel for him a little bit, but then shut it down straight away. And at least they didn't just make him this bad person the whole time. So it sort of showed you that, and he makes a comment later on like, I actually love animals, but it's like what sort of pushes him to do these things. So I thought, even though he didn't have a massive role in the film, but I thought there was enough there to sort of say, okay, you understand why you need this character. You need someone in there to be the person that does the work that no one else wants to do. You see him in that room with the Mirando, all the bosses sitting there, and literally they just say, sit down, you deadbeat. Like,
well, 10 years ago when you first introduced to him, he's the man, right?
Yeah.
He's like the Steve Irwin when Steve Irwin was the peak of his powers.
Yeah.
And, 10 years pass and, there's not that many people like that anymore. And I don't think he was very good. I get that was the role, but I think if someone else is doing that role, it's almost like a career killer. Like that was whether it's I don't know. I just thought he was way too over the top and it didn't work. I think similar with Tilda Swinton. I don't think Tilda Swinton was very good either.
I don't think she was good at all, actually. Oh, Jesse's giving us a look.
Really? You didn't like Tilda Swinton?
Not necessarily.
I didn't like her at all.
Just the performances. I don't think either of those performances really worked. And
they're the types of film, like they're the types of roles that you identify with her as. And I thought that you didn't need. What else did you need from her to get her as a character though?
Well, I think we still you got her as a character. I just didn't.
You couldn't have like someone just playing that character as like a normal a character, because you might find these qualities in them that you like a little bit. You needed her to be that over the top, and it's like if you've seen and if you've seen Snowpiercer, we haven't spoken about the director's other work yet, but Snowpiercer, she has a very similar role in that film as well, and I think that. You get this through her that she just represents greed, capitalism, and rivalry. That's what you're meant to get from her. You're not supposed to get anything else. You're not
true, and no human element to her, really.
And her first line is something about, I respect humanity. And then you know that she doesn't.
And you're like, no, you don't.
No, and you can see it from that first speech she does, because you've got that Frank guy in the background just mouthing the whole thing. She's literally just this puppet, and you don't need anything else about her.
What's the one thing about that speech that stays with you?
The one at the start?
Yeah.
Her braces.
No, like about the actual dialogue. What's the one line that stays with you?
I don't really have one.
I don't know.
To me, it's the last line when she says, "And it better taste fucking good."
Yeah,
that's the one thing that stays with you. Because at the start, you're just watching this sort of propaganda speech, not thinking much of it. Then you're like, "Oh, okay, you're gonna kill this animal."
Yeah,
like, you're talking about how great it is that we found this special animal, and now you just want to eat it.
I feel like she represents this thing where she, while she's talking about how she's a change from her sister who used to be the head of the company, herself can't handle change. She can't handle anything that doesn't go to script and doesn't go with the flow of exactly how she wants it.
But don't you think it's interesting that those sisters who go about things in completely different ways are going to get to the exact same point? Like that's a reflection of capitalism or consumerism, however you want to look at it, is that there are many ways to get there. These characters both very single-minded in the way they do things, but at the end of the day, all they want to be doing is making money and killing these animals and being profitable from it. So
to me, that's a good.
I found that interesting about it. Yeah, I don't think. I just found the chemistry that she had with the other characters was just a bit off, and I can't not say that there's an element of the acting performance in that, and I found the same with Jake Gyllenhaal. Not that they weren't terrible. I just didn't think they were great, considering when you go into this movie with them two names, you think they're going to be the two best performances of the film. But to Lucy Mirando's point versus Paul Dano's character Jay, they're the two extremes, right? You've got the capitalism, consumerism type. This is what I want to make money. We're bigger than the government because. They have control over the police at the end, versus Paul Dano being like, no, we want to save animals, protect the world, rah, rah. And they're absolute extremes. And at the end, neither of them are right because they're not balanced. Neither of them are balanced at all. Whereas Mija is balanced. But so they have this kind of ability to represent either side of it. And that's why I think this film isn't necessarily about one way or the other, because Paul Dano's way is completely flawed as well. Like even at the end when he, just like puts a cigarette out at the end because he's like, you shouldn't be doing this, Kay. This is the guy who bloody saved his life.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things about him.
After he's beating him up.
He's so wrong. He's so wrong, but his intentions seem good. And I think
he's got a good heart and good intentions. It's just that it doesn't always work out that way.
I think it's easy to forget and think that he's like a hero saving the day, where it's like, well, hang on. I don't think the director's saying that his way's the right way, and we shouldn't eat animals or eat meat. I don't know how well I articulated that, but that's kind of just the way.
Yeah, that made sense.
I thought the rest of his crew, like Kay, Red, Silver, Blonde, they could have all been one character almost. I don't think, I know you need people.
You kind of have to have more people for the jobs, but I mean, you didn't really get much out of. Besides maybe Kay
was the only
who
one.
worked as the translator.
Yeah. But he was probably the only other one that did have that balance to him. So when he lies and says that, yeah, she said it's all good, we can take Okja. And then Jay says, well, hang on, we shouldn't be doing that. That's not the way we do it. But it was probably the right thing to do for the cause. And I like the fact that Kay. Yeah. Here we go, letters. Kay also has that balance to him. And I think that's why he worked as a character. He's the one that comes back at the end because he's like, yeah, he beat me up and I didn't do the right thing by ALF. But
he still comes back.
It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
He still believes in the cause and stuff. And like, I guess, and then like even the contrast to Silver, I think, who just... like a very small character, but I think most of the time he wouldn't eat. Like he just refused to eat anything. Whereas like this is definitely not the right way to go about it. Like
exactly
you can believe in animal cruelty and all that kind of thing as much as you want, but to the point of not eating where you're so weak, like your friends have to carry you around, it's not the extreme that you should be going to.
Yeah, I agree.
Two quick other little characters because we probably need to move on, but
we need to move on. Let's indulge.
Grandpa. He was just this. I feel like he was like representing traditional Korea, and sort of that versus the rest of the world and the emerging world, and how does this clash of like the traditional sort of life that some people still want to live? How does that get along with this new world with technology? And you could see that in the opening scene. You got near the opening, you got the TV that's banging, like he has to bang it to get it to work. He's still pumping water.
Right, his little sound system.
His PA at the top.
Come home for dinner.
And, he's like wants Mija to meet a boy, wants her to get married. Like I thought that was a nice little thing to have in there to sort of keep this film based in its origins, I guess.
It's true, and he was out of his depth as a guardian.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that like he let her just run away to the city, and didn't really put up much of a fight.
Not at all.
I also liked
after he'd lied to her.
That was tough.
Yeah,
like what do you do?
I'd written down.
I wasn't too sure.
He's kind of a bit of a dick there. Like I just thought as well. Like it might have just been kind of that because he was speaking in Korean, so I didn't understand it. But I felt like he was laughing as he was telling. Like, this is a real serious moment where you're telling her that she's lost her best friend forever, and I felt like he was kind of laughing the whole way through it and just trying to blow it off as like nothing. And I'm like, that's really not the right way to go about it.
We knew what was going to happen.
Exactly.
That's the hard thing.
I
was like, dude, just do it.
Last one I wanted to talk about was that Mundo guy. He was sort of the guy that worked for Miranda. He's like dedicated to the company. He's all about the loyalty and stuff. I just thought he had some good little scenes where he's like, I'm going to be loyal to the company. They're in that tunnel and he just runs to it and gets hit by the car door. And then Mija helps Okja poo on him. I just thought, and then he's like, calling his wife. He's like, have we got some good shampoo? I just thought he was this nice little character too. Is there any other characters you want to talk about?
I'm good.
No. All right. Let's have a look at... we'll talk about the director, I guess, because I think I mentioned Snowpiercer before, and another sort of one that has heaps of themes and heaps in it, and I really enjoy that film. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I've seen Snowpiercer.
I haven't seen it, no.
I really like Snowpiercer. It's about like a train, and each carriage is a different class in society.
A train that they basically live on for years and years and years. Keeps going around the world because the rest of the world's like frozen.
Yeah. So that really like that film as well. I haven't seen The Host, which was his previous film.
And Mother's the other one that seems to be getting a lot of...
And the one at the moment that everyone's talking about is Parasite, which is doing the festival rounds and everyone's saying it's an amazing
It's doing
film.
the rounds now, is it?
Yeah, it's doing the rounds right now. So really, really keen to see Parasite.
Yeah, I mean, the two films that I've seen him do are excellent, so that's enough reason for me to seek out more.
All right. Do you want to talk about any acting roles or...
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting that they had quite a big cast. That I didn't... and it didn't bother me. I'm not the kind of person that if you got a big star, you need to use a big star, but they're all smallish roles.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. And it makes me think that maybe these actors really wanted to do this film.
Yeah.
The messages behind it, probably more than the roles.
Yeah. All right, let's look at some scenes. What did we like?
I kind of touched on it. I love the introductory scene with Okja and Mija. Like, straight away, I'm like, best friends. They've got this really beautiful lifestyle, and the scenery was awesome. And obviously, when Okja saves Mija from the cliff, and you learn how clever and sympathetic Okja is.
Yeah,
I could have watched a whole movie of them just frolicking in the forest.
I had that down there too because I was like, while it was prolonged, I thought it was needed. Like, it was massively needed. The relationship was set up so well, and just the picking the prickles out of the foot, the hunting together, the cliff scene, overcoming these troubles together. And, even just the tiny little details. You see Mija, when Okja catches the fish, she throws like the little baby one back in the water. And it was just nice.
And that's the thing, I was gone emotionally. Because I'm like, this relationship is getting broken up. So he created it really well. I got another scene. I don't know if I liked it because it hurt my heart when she finds out Okja's leaving. So I'm putting in the good scenes because it connected with me so much emotionally. But I was struggling. I was like, no, she's running back.
Just get the tissue.
No, and then she's gone. Oh, that was And see how early was that? I was already gone. I wrote this one down. I can't really remember the context, but when they were in New York and Lucy Miranda was making her speech in front of everybody, and they're about to show Okja to the people, and she says something stupid, and the Aussie bloke who was hijacking the feed just sits there and goes, "Lucy Miranda, fucking idiot." I really like that. But you want to know the one scene that
got you?
So when I cry in a film, sometimes I get a bit teary. I was just genuinely crying when the super pigs help their little child escape. And they push it through the fence, and then Okja hides it. If I wasn't already tipped over the edge, I was completely gone by then. These animals are so clever and cerebral, and they understand how if you saw cows in that same situation, and I'm nothing against cows, but if you saw them in that situation, they got no idea what's going on. They all started moaning, and they knew what was going on. And when Okja was when he had the gun to Okja's head and she was in the case, oh man, I seriously was probably just talking don't do it, don't, don't. This movie got me, guys.
It really did.
Because so it could take over.
I mentioned it, I really liked that setup with the grandpa too, how isolated they were, and the TV and that sort of stuff. And then when Johnny comes and Midge is so impressed with the laptop he's got, I just thought, that makes you feel the culture then. So as soon as she hits the city, we know it's going to be a shock. And you saw that, there's this awesome high angle shot of her there's these crowds of people working, they're all in the greys, walking, and then there's just her in the red. And then, all these little things that she would never seen before. She has to pick up the phone to dial through the security. She runs at the glass window and
that was actually really good. That was just
It's one of my good scenes. Her trying to jump through the glass door.
I need to get away in.
It was funny as
because these are all things that she probably has never seen before. If she's just been in those.
What the hell's this glass door? I can run through it. I thought that scene was great. I
also liked when Okja's in the truck and you've got her running in these parallel streets to where the truck's going, and she's just chasing it because she doesn't want to be separated from Okja, which is cool. And the same again in that subway scene. That was so well done.
That was really cool.
Just the Okja running through, knocking all the shelves off. It was just filmed really, really nicely. I spoke about the truck driver that was driving Okja.
He was great.
I really like there's an interview scene where where he's on the TV and he's getting interviewed by the news and he's like, Miranda's fucked, not me.
They work for them.
And then she worked for him. He's like, I don't care. He was really good. The truck driver.
Figure him out though. I was like, I thought he was in on something at the start.
Just some guy who couldn't care less about his job.
Like MJ said before, the scene where they walk through those caged pigs and at the end, it was just devastating. So I agree with you on that.
You cry?
I didn't cry.
No, Jesse.
But I have seen this 5 times.
I know. I'll cry again.
We've mentioned this before, but there's a scene where Johnny just takes that extract of meat from Okja and then it's just a quick cut to the sizzling fry pan. I thought that was really well done. And the people trying it.
Yummy.
The parade I thought was visually stunning. It was just so well put together with all the people and the floats and the colours.
And then, sort of intertwining through the ALF people who were sort of scattered throughout.
And then when Jay goes into the hotel room with his little signs to say sorry to Mija.
Just like Love Actually.
Oh, that was cute. And the violence at the end, in the streets and the parade, the sound cut, and you could feel the pain of each of those beats that those people from the Elf were getting.
Wasn't expecting that.
No. And just from a filmmaking point of view, that scene with Nancy and Lucy together, it's that one scene where you've got Tilda Swinton playing the same character in the same shot, and it was just cleverly done from a filmmaking point of view.
Was that her in Hail Caesar? I think she plays
the same character.
She plays a twin, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
God, that's her thing.
Cool. Yep, that's me.
The only other ones I had were the terrorist kidnapping scene, or not terrorist kidnapping, but the AOF kidnapping scene in the tunnel. Just how nice and friendly they were. They opened the doors like, hey, we don't want to hurt you. No, we don't want to hurt you. I found it really funny just how nice they were trying to be about trying to kidnap a pig.
But they did hold guns at them.
Yeah, they did. But they're like, yeah, we don't want to use them. But like, nice. And then that turned into how the truck driver just couldn't care less. He's just like, whatever, I don't care.
You like it when they got the umbrellas up to...
Yeah,
that was pretty cool, yeah.
The subway.
And the only one as well, I really actually did like the post-credit scene as well, where he gets out of prison and they're on the bus and everyone's putting the masks on and, and straight back into it. I like that post-credit scene.
Even the old bird on the bus.
She's looking around going, what is going on? And then someone just hands her a mask like, okay, I'll join in.
What do we like?
I really didn't need to see the pig rape scene.
Yep.
I probably just didn't like that whole scene, I think, where Johnny Wilcox is drunk and there was the phone call. And again, he was really just over the top with it all. And that whole kind of scene in that little area there, I didn't really like that whole scene.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't like about that scene was he said something along the lines of like, when a woman humiliates a man's inclined to make his decision.
Like
that was a bit
yeah.
yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was off the back of...
him getting shut down.
Yeah, getting shut down,
Lucy.
He was drunk, I just found that whole kind of scene there just, not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst one for me was that scene in the office when they decided that they wanted to use Mija as a marketing ploy, whatever. And I just thought she was kind of off tap and her co-workers were all a bit weird, and then Johnny walks in and the whole scene just didn't work for me, and it was Gyllenhaal overacting and Tilda Swinton overacting, and it was just clashing for me, and it just and I know that led into the next scene about that quote you just said then, Jesse, but that was probably the one scene for me that I was like, nah, not working.
Yeah.
I had very little that I didn't like.
Yeah, the one thing that I didn't like was that whole thing with Kay and Mija. I just didn't like the scenes with them together with this translation and him obviously setting her up, translating the wrong thing that, she just wanted to take Okja home. And then he has this line to her like, you should learn English, it opens new doors. And the follow through with the tattoo that he had as well, it just didn't really sit with me.
What was the tattoo, sorry?
Because he had the tattoo at the end on his arm, which was like something about like English, like translation is key or something like that.
But did you? I'm not sure where I read what he actually says when the subtitles say you should learn English opens doors is not actually what he said.
I was just going to say that I read that as well.
Here we go. That's what they say in the subtitles, but he says something else.
It's a deliberate mistranslation of the English subtitles when Kay is about to jump off the truck.
Yeah.
So his parting words are, Mija, try learning English. It opens new doors. What he actually says is, Mija, also my name is Ku Soon Bum. And it's like a deliberate because it's not subtitles that you turn on. It's subtitles as part of the film. Yeah. So it's deliberate mistranslation, and one that would only become apparent to those who can speak both languages. So, it says here on IMDb that the mistranslation is a clever subversion of the supremacy of English. The subtitle is a command to learn English, something every Korean student has heard throughout their life. But to actually understand what Kay is saying, you would have to know Korean.
Okay. So it's more a cultural thing for Koreans that they'd get this whole...
Yeah. It's interesting.
Cool.
And the irony of him saying you should learn English.
Yeah, because that's what they hear at school all the time. So okay.
Interesting.
Cool. All right. What was the film trying to say? I think there's heaps of stuff that it was touching on.
Yeah, can you... Yeah, I'd love to sit in the passenger seat and watch you drive this one, Jesse.
All right, so first thing I thought was globalization. This whole idea that we're no longer this society that can just hide in a village and not be impacted by the rest of the world. And you see that by the pigs being separated all around the world. So all of a sudden the world's all connected because you're keeping track of all these pigs. So that was one thing I was sort of...
Good one, yeah. I didn't even pick up on that, of course.
The celebrities and fame massively, like Jake Gyllenhaal's character Johnny, like downfalls of fame, and I think that was pretty obvious.
Yep. Yeah, good one.
Refugee camps, all these pigs locked up, no voice, they feel the pain, no one's doing anything to actually help them.
So it's interesting because the irony is that this species has been bred and genetically modified or born or whatever you want to call it to feed humans. That is the purpose of what they're doing here, and yet they still, as soon as they're breathing, they exist, and I suppose you need to think of them like that.
Life first, yeah. So obviously genetically modified food as well. That's like, is it something that we should be doing, or are we interrupting like the actual food sources that we have? Because I read something somewhere too where it was saying that as a society we need to cut back on meat production because the UN's actually put out a report saying we eat way too much meat for what humans actually need to consume or kill.
Is that right?
Yeah. They tried to touch on the environment as well. Like they're breeding this pig to like leave a small footprint on the
less excrement.
And the capitalism sort of thing too. These evil corporations big time.
Yeah, their corporate greed and everything.
Animal rights. So do these animals have rights, or are we? I don't know.
How can you not watch this film with thinking animal rights?
Yeah.
Like it's
there's this activism theme as well through the elf, and doing what's right, even though you may have to break the law or do something that's illegal. Touched on veganism a little bit. Like, is it something that they're trying to get you to consider? Like, it's just one of those many things that they're looking at. I had this one as well. I was like dealing with the loss because Mija lost her parents, and then there's that possibility throughout the whole film that she's going to lose Okja as well. So I was like, how do people deal with maybe that possibility of loss occurring?
So the biggest thing that she loses, and she does lose this, is her loss of innocence.
Yep.
So she goes on this journey to get her best friend back, and in the process, she learns about the world.
She finds out the world's full of
the last thing I had there was growing up.
Mistrust. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
innocence is completely destroyed.
Yeah, learning what the world's like out there, really.
Yeah.
Man, that's the only other thing that I had was the idea of balance. I don't think this movie's saying it's bad to eat meat, and I think if you look at the comparison of Tilda Swinton's character and Paul Dano's character, they're two extremes, and neither can understand people who don't think the same way as they do.
Yep.
So it's about having that balance, and I think Kay is probably a good example of someone who does have that balance. He ultimately saves the day, and Mija as well. Like, doesn't necessarily want to stop eating meat, and she just wanted her friend back, and she sees all these horrors, and
eyes are opened.
So it's just that balance. Like, you can do things, but there's a way of doing it. So it's not saying we should never kill animals. We should never. I don't think it's saying that at all.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also don't think it's saying that.
It's making you think about it. I think
that's certainly
it's just making you think.
Absolutely,
it's not trying to say this is right or this is wrong. It's just like, have a think about what we're doing.
I really disagree with people saying like he's throwing it in your face that we should be vegan or we shouldn't eat meat, because I don't get that vibe at all. I think there's a lot more to it. If you're saying that, you're not looking at it closely enough.
No. Good. All right. So, what do we take away from this film? What was nice about it, or good about it, or not good about it?
I thought the first half was a lot better than the second half. So what MJ was saying before, he would have could have watched easily a movie just based on them playing.
I could have.
I could have as well. I think to the point up until like they steal the pig like in the tunnel, and then when they jump off the bridge, I was really enjoying the film up until that moment. Then kind of once they are kind of in New York City, I didn't really enjoy it as much. So definitely for me, the first half up until kind of the AOF jump off that bridge, that there was a lot better. I enjoyed that half of the movie a lot more than the second half.
Yeah, I can understand that. I spent the whole movie pining for them to get back together, and I just needed that, and that kept me going like on an insane level. Like,
I thought I think this is a really good family film for a modern audience. I know.
At what age though?
Yeah, I know.
You can't have young kids watching it.
I know there's a lot of extreme stuff in it, and there's a lot of violence and heavy themes, but this is the sort of stuff that kids are watching on the internet without any parental supervision at all. So I think if you sat down with, between 13 and 16. I'm not saying like, you want to show it to a 5-year-old, but if you sit down with a 13 to a 16-year-old with a parent who's sitting there to talk through what's happening, I think that this is that type of film that can help,
absolutely. I agree with that.
So what age are the kids that you've taught this film to?
Like senior kids.
Senior kids?
Yeah,
okay. 16, 17, 18-year-olds?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
It's a really good point, because, there's an argument if you just sort of saw the poster and read the synopsis, you'd be like, oh, yeah, my kids can watch this.
The poster and stuff makes it look like
it's a cute little
a family-friendly film. Yeah, it's a little girl with a big pig. Like.
And I mean, like, there's a lot of similarities to E.T. in this. To be honest, when I watched E.T. as a kid, I think I just enjoyed it because it was kind of fun and whatever. But when I watch E.T. now, I watch it completely differently. I have a similar emotional connection to E.T. as I do to this. But I guess it's those scenes at the end of this film in the slaughterhouse that are really confronting. That a kid needs to be pretty aware of what's going on now. I don't know. I think you need to know your kids.
Yeah, you need to know your kids, and it's like, how much. This is what happens in real life.
And I'm all for that as well.
It's you kept like I had in here. I was like, this reminds me of an '80s like family sort of film. Like we've spoken about the family side of things, but I was like, I want to watch E.T. again.
Yeah, so I watched it like 2 years ago, and it's just awesome. You gotta watch it again.
This would have been awesome on the big screen too.
It would have been incredible. It would have been. So
would have liked to see this at the movies. Yeah, it would have been nice.
And I think it's there for multiple viewings too, which is good that it's on Netflix.
Yeah, you can watch it as many times as you want.
It'd be good if it came out on the movies, just like a random showing.
Yeah,
because
cool.
It would have been. He would have like Jun Bong-ha would have loved to have this on the big screen, which is why he did have it in America and South Korea.
South Korea, yeah.
Did either of you use IMDb at all to look anything up as you were watching it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I jumped on for a bit of a strange one. It was for Jennifer, who plays Lucy's assistant.
Yep.
Who I characterised just as the lady with the really annoying voice.
Really annoying voice.
Because I'm like, that
Small
annoying voice
as well.
is so similar. Looked it up. She's Moaning Myrtle from Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I recognise the annoying voice from.
She is.
She is Moaning Myrtle. Her name is Shirley Henderson, the actress.
Good pickup. That's why I love this segment. God damn it.
Moaning Myrtle.
I didn't look anything up.
I looked it up afterwards. I was too into this movie to look it up, but the Aussie dude, I was just curious because he's an Aussie dude and you kind of recognise the voice. So his name's Daniel Henschel. He was in The Babadook and These Final Hours, but I do remember him from...
Did he play the husband in The Babadook?
Don't know. Sorry.
Sorry.
But I remember him from Any Questions for Ben. I don't know if you've seen that. With it's a Rob Stitch film starring Josh Lawson and Rachel Taylor. He's like the best friend of Josh Lawson.
Okay. There you go.
Cool. All right. Do you guys have any questions about the film?
A couple.
Yeah, go.
You go.
Well, this is just a gimmicky one, but as if they didn't fly the grandpa over when they flew Mija over.
Yeah.
Adult supervision.
Yeah, like plucked this 10-year-old girl out of nowhere and said, "Come on."
Surely she needs like a guardian.
Yeah, and he was at the airport and everything.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It also got me thinking, and this is a tough question without notice because I still need to keep thinking about it, but what are the great movie creatures or species that we know of?
So you've spoken about E.T. already.
E.T., and I was thinking like the Na'vi from Avatar.
Those characters, maybe not necessarily the film, but the characters are definitely an original creation. I think think about the Gremlins.
Yeah, that's
Gremlins
perfect.
Is a really good one. The aliens in Men in Black, I feel like they
Some
stand
of
out
them.
like some of those characters. That's a really...
It's a good question.
It's a good one.
Because I would like to think that in 10, 20, 30 years' time, you think of Okja as one of the great movie creatures.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the Babadook before as well. Babadook's a very...
Well, there's plenty of horror.
Yeah,
there's plenty of
like
Chucky.
Like we watched the Thing a couple of weeks ago, but both me and you,
Yeah, that's probably a good one.
that was a good one.
Yeah, the never-ending story, the big thing that they fly
the
on.
big-
What's his name?
I
big
can't think of his
creature.
name.
Oh, man. It's gonna bother me.
Yeah, I think there's heaps.
Quite a few.
I'd like to see like a BuzzFeed article on this. The great movie creatures.
Well, I like the Muppets straight away too. I'm like, you think about you got a whole cast of awesome characters in the Muppets.
Okay, Muppets are,
Yeah.
I guess I don't think of them as creatures as much as...
Yeah.
Frog, a bear.
No, yeah, I know. I think they kind of
like
work in
new
society as if they're
creatures,
like normal people.
Fair enough.
Anyway, just something fun. That
That's good, yeah.
Anything else?
That's the only question I had.
Did you think the film had a happy ending?
Good question.
So you see Okja at the end, back home with the little child one that they've smuggled out. Mija's happy. Mm-hmm. Just ignores everything else.
I think it's not an ambiguous ending. It's happy in that sense.
Yeah.
But Mija comes home a completely different person.
Yeah.
I needed them to come home together. Like I really need that would have
It would have been a
changed.
mess.
That would have changed how much I enjoyed the film. Not even joking. And I'm all for like a happy ending with the right a non-happy ending with the right message.
Yeah.
But I think it does a good job of saying both things. I actually read Bong Joon-ho say the alternative ending was actually that the people from the ALF swarm the slaughterhouse area and free all the super pigs, which I think is almost a little bit too blunt.
It's probably a bit too much.
Yeah,
I would have thought.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit too heavy. There's
Yeah.
another good species.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, I'm giving it a happy ending
Yeah.
with a but.
Yeah, was reasonably happy. Yeah.
I reckon I'm going to know your answer for this, MJ, but I just had this thing in my head. Was Mija a positive character? Because I feel like she was happy at the start. She's gone through all this stuff. I don't know if she's ever going to feel that happiness again. And she was negative and firm throughout, and she was this child, so it was coming through these eyes of a child. But at the end, is she truly going to be positive?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this really is that loss of innocence,
Yeah.
right? But if anything, she shows that she's a fighter.
Yeah.
And that's a good attribute to have. But she's not the same.
It's sort of like that post-credit scene sort of annoys me a little bit, because you see those guys are still working, and then it's like, well, what does Mija do after this? Is her eyes open and she wants to help these guys now, or
I don't think she necessarily...
Or is she still just back
Do
to
you
where
think
she
she
was
was-
before, playing with Okja?
Was she an advocate for animals, or was she wanting to get her best friend?
or is she an advocate for herself?
I think it was more she wanted her friend back more than the animals. She just wanted, she probably didn't see Okja as an animal. She just saw it as that's my best friend.
That's what the grandpa said. We've done well here, the two of us. She's like, three of us.
Yeah.
Three of us have done well.
I got two last little ones. When they're flashing on the screen, they're like, YouTube search mirandoisfuck.com. I'd never actually done that, even though I've watched it a few times. So I did it.
But you did?
So I did it. So there's actually a video on YouTube. It's like a 60-minute clip, and it's got the elf characters. 60 seconds.
Oh.
Did I say
What?
minutes?
Yeah, you said minutes.
60 seconds.
They have committed to this marketing campaign.
There's a 60-second sort of clip, and it's like, the elf characters all in the camera sort of talking, and then it's got like this link to this website, and you click on the website, and it's just these like images. It's just a rotating picture of Lucy with her face on an animal's body, and it was quite cool. It was quite a cool little extra sort of scene, I guess.
I like that.
Seeing as you don't get DVD extras because it's not on a DVD, it's nice to have something else that you can
Be
look
interesting to see if there was any kind of marketing campaign around the film that touched on that, but maybe not, because you kind of have to watch the film together, don't you?
And like I said, I was watching this. I think this is the first time I've actually watched the post-credit scene.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
That is not like you at all.
I know.
Yeah, you normally stay around.
So
just in
that
case.
was a nice little surprise for me at the end.
We do have a segment, Did My Dog Bark? And I was worried about this from the start.
Yeah.
I knew that there was...
Food on TV. Or?
This could have been very
I knew there
loud
was this
watching
big creature who was
Yeah.
going to play a pretty prominent part on my screen. And I want to say I was pretty proud of Todd, my dog. He was curious with Okja at the start, and he was a bit growly and what's going on here, what's going on here. But eventually he kind of got used to her and just let it go.
Good.
I think he just knew that she was one of the characters. So.
Otherwise, that could have been a very
Yeah.
noisy 2 hours for you.
I would have had to wait another time to watch it.
All right, so let's wrap this up. We like to give our films a rating out of 5, where we go around the table and then give it an average, so we get an overall Flix Forum average. Heat up. What do you think?
So look, this film, it didn't appeal to me as much as it did, it sounds like, a lot of other people, and I definitely didn't connect with it as much as MJ did, but I still thought it was a pretty good movie. As I said, I enjoyed the first half. Second half wasn't as interested in, but it was a pretty solid movie. I gave it 3 stars.
Good. MJ?
I hated this. Nah. this
Such a bad I was like, hang on.
I've decided 10 seconds ago, I'm going to say I hated it. This stripped it back to the reasons why you fall in love with a film, pure emotional and visceral connection. It made me feel, it put me in the driver's seat with Mija. I needed to see Mija and Okja reunited, and my heart rode every high and low of the journey to getting there. I loved this movie, 4.5 stars.
Oh, very good. So, I too love this film. It's probably one of my favourites of the last few years. And I could probably talk about this and the scenes and how it's also thoughtfully done for quite a while. And we've touched on this heaps. It was amazing how much they made you care for a CGI creature. And I know you guys, like we spoke about before, I've got this on Letterboxd. And you know what I've given it before, but looking at the podcast, I'm going to pump it up. I'm going to pump it up. So I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5 as well.
Yes.
So what does that give us as an average?
Gives us... That didn't work out. Gives us 4.
4.
I think.
Straight, yeah, that would make sense. No, a straight 4. Very
This
nice.
what film is this? 40 odd? What number?
41.
41. This is the best Netflix original film that we've done. This has been my favourite film.
Well, that's the equal second high. That's the equal highest rating with our first one, Beasts.
Very good. So we are on social media. We are at Flix Forum on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We chuck a question up there. We try to chuck a question up there every week. And this week we are going with, does Okja make you consider what you eat?
Yeah, you think about
Think
it.
about it. Some people not. Nah. So
I'd be curious to know what
see
people
what
think
people
of that. There's 70,000 people that are logged in on IMDb. Like, it's got to impact some people, right? Like,
some people it definitely would.
So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. Download our episode every week. Get us up in the charts and give us a 5-star rating if you can. Next week, we are looking at the 2017 drama. It's called To the Bone, and it's directed by Marty Noxon. It stars Lily Collins, Carrie Preston, Lily Taylor, and Keanu Reeves. Lily Collins, 2 movies in a row. Very good. So Keanu. Good. So we'll be back next week to discuss that, and this has been a good one. Long one. I think it's got to be our longest.
Let's keep chatting. Let's keep chatting off air.
We will. All right. So thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
See you boys. See you next week.
See you, everyone.